Okay, welcome everybody to our annual Brooklyn School Spring Concert. The band seated behind me is the 5th and 6th grade concert band. And our last performance at the holiday time, kids were just getting started on the first few months of their instruments. And now we have come such a long way, and we're really excited to put on a fantastic show of great music for you tonight. They've been working so hard. I know when you see a group, there's about 110 kids on stage. When 5th and 6th grade is combined, and they're combined every day. We have them in class every day. And it's the largest class in the Brooklyn School by far, and it's really exciting when they all come down. I know that when a substitute teacher is there, which doesn't happen too often, but sometimes if there's a substitute there before myself or Mr. Keller walks in, they're kind of like, whoa. I have to watch all these kids, and then, they get their instruments out, and it's a real pleasure. They work so hard. We're so excited to perform for you this evening, and this first tune is an instant classic. This is the Eagle Summit March. Please enjoy. Okay, so one of the really cool things about the dynamic of this class, obviously there's a lot of kids, and that kind of warrants having two band directors in the room at the same time. So Mr. Keller and myself are able to team teach the class, which gives us a lot of opportunities to create an awesome educational experience for the kids. We're able to take kids out and do sectionals, let's pull the flutes out today and we'll work with just the flutes, or take the saxophones today, just work with the saxophones. We test the kids. If you look in the program, you can see that the kids are seated in an order, and there are certain kids that are considered the principal player, just the same as if you were to go see the Cleveland Orchestra, and there are players in that group that are considered the principal players of their particular section. So we test the students. We have a challenge system. If they don't like the seat that they end up getting, they can challenge the person above them. And it's pretty intricate, pretty cool, but it wouldn't be possible if Mr. Keller and I weren't able to teach the class together and make that happen. They're a polite group, an awesome group to have in class. It's a little loud when they come in, it's a little loud when they leave, but man, we get on the podium and we mean business, and they do too, and they work very hard for us. This next tune, I'm gonna be honest, I passed it out last week. Okay, passed this tune out last week because I knew that they could put it together. You're gonna hear something similar from 7th and 8th grade tonight in the high school. But this is called Ancient Hunters, and it has that feeling like it's real intense the whole time, and a lot of great moments and this really cool catchy melody. and features each section at one time or another. So please enjoy Ancient Hunters. So definitely want to make sure that we encourage you to encourage them. You know, I have two high school students, a sophomore and a freshman in Medina, and I have a 10-year-old that plays the recorder and in fourth grade, so there's lovely music to be heard at my house each and every night. And I know that it is a struggle, even as a band director, to encourage my kids to practice. You know, but I also, you know, sometimes I pull the guilt trip and I'll say, hey, you know what, spend some money on that horn. You should get it out. That's the least you should do, okay? I know that they don't always like when I come in to help them. So I'm like, if you practice, I won't help you. You know? So from time to time, they want me to help, you know, but it is something I have to keep on. You know, get in there and do this. Make sure that you're practicing. Get on your horn. Make sure you're putting air through your horn. I know that we have the summer months coming up, and it's really easy to just kind of veg out for 3 months and not do much with it. But make sure you're encouraging them to get their instruments out, take them home and practice. If you're not seeing that on the regular, then you want to make sure that you say something. I always say, hey, you know, you spend 20 minutes a day on it. We probably watch that much in advertisements and commercials in one day. So 20 minutes a day, and if you can't do 20 minutes a day, then do a little bit longer every other day. I'm a lifelong person that practices. You know, I mean, it's kind of part of the job. I know that Mr. Keller practices a lot. But yeah, it's definitely something that, you know, keeps them moving forward when they see that you see that it's important. Before we go into the next tune, I bring Mr. Keller on stage. Hopefully you're catching the difference. You know, when we were in the holiday, I mean, I just love the way this band sounds. Holiday concert, we were playing like 4, 5 measure, 8 measure, little snippets of music. And, you know, we had that one long song, but everything else is rather short. And now we've played two songs, both nearly 100 measures in length. So they have grown a lot in the last few months, and it's really exciting to see. And this next tune is no different. You're going to hear a lot of independent parts. So you're going to hear that the flutes are not playing what the clarinets are playing, the clarinets are not playing what the saxophones are playing, and they're not playing what the trumpets are playing. Everything's kind of together, and they're really making music in that way. So that's what we want you to listen for, and as well as some different things that you're going to hear on percussion too. So without further ado, the guy that, man, it makes it easier to get through each day with him there. It's definitely a blessing to be friends with someone that you work with and being good friends with someone that you work with. And he knows my family, I know his family. We've been doing this for 23 years. So without further ado, Mr. Keller, let's welcome him to the stage.
I'm going to talk now because afterwards you're just going to be clapping. So I actually had to take a week and a half off because my wife had knee replacement, and I am a much better teacher than nurse, we found out. It was not good. Anyways, so I come back on Monday, and Mr. Sullivan's like, all right, guys, get out Ancient Hunters. I'm like, what? Because I was literally gone for 6 days, and in the time being, they learned Ancient Hunters, which was very impressive. The other thing that was impressive, because at the beginning of the year, Mr. Sullivan and I looked at each other, and we're like, man, 115 kids learning instruments. This is going to be one of our best teaching years ever, if we get through it. This next song that you hear, we usually take about a week to put this together. It took these kids a day and a half. So super impressed with this song. You're going to love it. It's called Galactic Episode. I've been doing it for 23 years, so I don't even need the book. 23 years.
Okay, so the group behind me is 7th and 8th grade, and usually we would take off a number of chairs, but we have something planned a little bit later on, and we're going to kind of leave it the way it is. So this first tune is actually one that it's become a favorite of mine, and when they play it each day, I just get this tune in my head, and I can't stop whistling it and humming it like the rest of the day. It's like one of those tunes. I don't know if you ever had that experience on the way to work. You hear that song, and then it like haunts you all day. Okay? In my family, my wife likes country music. Yeah, I know, she's the one. But I go to see all these concerts and stuff. But I will say, some of that country music is kind of growing on me. Like for some reason, like I just dig Jason Aldean for some reason. I'm into it. And it's because a lot of because of my wife. But those tunes, they get in your head, and then it's there. You're thinking about tractors and all that, farms and animals, and yeah. So this first tune is soon to be a classic, just like Eagle Summit March. And it's called March Onward, and it's in a similar spot in the second book, because the 7th and 8th grade plays out of a different book than the 5th and 6th grade. And so this is that tune. Please enjoy March Onward. So yesterday we were at the Tri-C Jazz Festival with our jazz ensemble, and I was speaking with the director from Brunswick, and we were talking, and he said he went to Capital University. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you had this next composer, you had James Swearingen as a teacher. And he was like, yeah, man, I had that guy as my teacher, which is pretty cool. You know, somebody's going to come in and teach you about music. This guy's written more music for concert band than I think anybody that's ever lived. And he teaches at Capitol. And so, you know, I'm like, yeah, that's really neat. That's pretty cool, you know. And he goes, well, there was this one day, I don't think he liked me. And I'm like, well, why didn't he like you? And he said, well, you know, usually his tunes are set up so that you have this really fast beginning, and it has a lot of percussion. Like, even the instruments are playing very much like percussion, like drummers. And then there's like a slow middle section that's beautiful and has maybe a flute solo in it. And then it goes fast again to the end. Like, that's his thing. You know, a lot of percussion and all this going on. I'm like, oh yeah. So I guess one day James Swearingen came into the class and he's like, hey man, check out this piece that I wrote. He starts playing it on the piano. And this band director of Brunswick, he's like, man, kind of sounds like Pirates of the Caribbean. And James Swearingen closed the book, and he walked out of the room, and he gave that guy a C in that class. I was like, that's awesome, though, that you told him it sounded like Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, that's awesome that you told him it sounded like something else. So this tune is by James Swearingen, a professor at Capital University, and it does have that kind of thing going on. A lot of percussion, a lot of different things happening. You're going to see here some triangle, some tambourine. We had an absence today, so I'm actually going to have a guest marimba player, and you know, you're going to hear a lot of that going on, suspended cymbal, crash cymbal, all these things, and then that flute solo by Rhiannon Kanapka right in the middle of the whole thing, and then it goes fast again to the end. So please enjoy The Light of Dawn. Rhiannon on the flute solo in the middle there. Nice job. Okay, so this next tune, one thing that we do work a lot on as we get into the spring is we always do a little bit of improvisation. And improvisation is spontaneous musical invention. So you're creating something on the spot. You know, and a lot of kids, they get anchored to their music. So the music's there, even at the high school age. They're looking at that music, man, they want to see those notes and rhythms, and that feels safe. You know, I have music in front of me, I feel safe because I can see what I need to play. But when you improvise, you might have fragments of ideas that you jot down or that you come up with off the top of your head, and then you do those again and again. But really, in the end, you're making something up right on the spot. So what I think is the most cool thing about improvisation, we do a lot in jazz, and this next tune is no different. The coolest thing is that what we're about to listen to, with a bunch of students improvising on a jazz tune, it will never be the same as it is going to be right now. You know, so like if we do the same tune tomorrow, we do the same solo order of students taking solos, they're going to play it a little bit differently than they did today, which I think is cool. Because that means that this experience is unique, and every experience when it comes to jazz and improvisation is unique. So this kind of stands on its own. If you've ever seen the movie Back to the Future from the 1980s, there's this fantastic scene when Michael J. Fox comes on stage, so Marty McFly comes up on stage, and he plays Johnny B. Good. But right before he plays that, there's a band that's playing at that Under the Sea dance at that high school, and they're playing this song. Okay, so they're jamming out to this song, and then Marty McFly takes the stage, plays Johnny B. Good, and then, you know, there's the whole other stuff that happens. He begins to disappear at 88 miles per hour and all that. But in this moment, Night Train is played in Back to the Future. So you can see that we feature a number of students in this format, and they're all going to be creating music on the spot. So I'm excited to bring them up to the stage and I'll rattle them off at the end when we get to that point, but please enjoy the blues. This is Night Train. Jonathan Chingari on the alto saxophone. Jana Lawyer on the clarinet. Ron Hudson on the trumpet. Alyssa Alberino on the clarinet. Amanda Ortiz Rosario on the alto saxophone. Jaden Spada on the trumpet. Rhiannon Kanapka on the flute. Nathan Gray on the trumpet. Angela Tran on the clarinet. Luka Zubik on the alto saxophone. And Amir Green on the drums. Let's give a round of applause for all of our soloists. 7th and 8th grade, everybody stand up, everybody up. Let's have a round of applause for all of our 7th and 8th grade band students. Give it up. All right, we have one more tune. It's a real special one, and I have a group of special guests that are going to join us on stage. And as they work their way up here, I'll talk a little bit about what you're about to hear. So come on up. Single file, file it out. We'll make it work. All right. So first thing that must be said. First thing that must be said is that both groups have been playing this song for quite some time. But they played it together 2 times. And they played it together 15 minutes before the concert started. So, and it sounds great, I'm excited. So, in picking this tune, I realized that for my generation, for our generation, it was all about Star Wars. It was all about 1977, A New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, and all that. And there's Star Trek 2 is out there. I know Mr. Black is a huge fan of Star Trek. I'm a Star Wars guy. He's also a Star Wars guy, but he's like, hey, you gotta watch Star Trek. But then you get to realize, like, for this generation, what's happening in the Marvel universe is ridiculously cool. And so for them, as Star Wars has that special meaning when I hear that ba bum ba 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 beep beep, when I hear that, I'm like, I get goosebumps. For them, man, it's all about Avengers. It's all about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My kids just are nuts about it. And so I thought it appropriate, let's put this generation all together, 7th through 12th grade, and play a little Avengers for you this evening. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the 7th through 12th grade concert band and Marvel's Avengers. Okay. We also learned another tune altogether that everybody should know. And we kind of discovered this when we were warming up in the choir room. It's just came to mind, the light bulb went off. I'm like, we should do this. And so we're gonna do one more that everybody knows. Please enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have one more round of applause from 5th through 12th grade Bean students. Give it up. Thank you so much for being such a fantastic and receptive audience. We really appreciate you coming out tonight for our spring concert, even though it's like snowing and 35 degrees outside. Wasn't it 80 on Sunday? Like, okay. Really appreciate you guys coming out. If you're a parent of an 8th grader, please read some of the information that I put in the program regarding some of the information that has gone out. I sent out a letter in January. You're going to be getting another one in April, just regarding some scheduling things. So please take a look at that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd like to thank Mr. Black for being here this evening. And if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, which I have our QR code in the program, you can check out the concert. We recorded it. It'll get posted today. I think he live streamed it. So thank you so much for being, no, he did not. It'll get posted later on today. Thank you so much for coming out. We'll see you next time. Take care.